going to talk about how to start your investment portfolio, because we talk about credit, and credit, we talk about leverage, and leverage is very important, using somebody else's money, right? Because wealthy people do not use their own money. Wealthy people use other people's money in order to get more wealth. So how do we start getting the wealth? Okay, credit is the first step. But then what's after that? What's after that is we got to start investing. So I'm talking about investing in stock. I invest in stock. I'm talking about investing in real estate. I'm talking about investing in your retirement. I'm talking about doing all these things to accumulate wealth right now so that you can enjoy life right now. One of the things, I was talking to someone over the weekend, and they were saying the goal is to get enough wealth so that you can retire. That's the end game. That's the end goal. No. I want to have enough wealth right now. I want to be able to enjoy life right now. I don't want to have to wait until I'm in my golden years to enjoy my money. I want to enjoy money now. So I want to build enough wealth so I can have money now, and then I want to have money when I'm ready to retire. That's what this is all about. So I heard that you can add someone to a credit card to help them with their credit score as an authorized user. Does this affect the account holder in any way if the person is added and never uses the card? So if you are added on as an authorized user to a credit card, no, that does not affect the person that you are, the card holder. The only way it'll affect the card holder is if they give you a copy of that card, or they give you the card, and then you start running it up. So I always talk about my daughter. She turned 18. I gave her a card. She became an authorized user on my card. And then she has an 815 credit score. It's great. So if you can add your kids on as an authorized user, add your kids on. I think it's absolutely a wonderful thing. But my daughter was not responsible. And so I said, baby, you about to go to college. You about to go to Virginia. Here's a card. It's for emergencies. And that little chick went and maxed out my card. I had to uppercut her a few times, but she's okay now. She's recovered very nicely. No, but it only will affect the score of the card holder if they max it out, or if you max it out, but it will not drop their credit score at all. So if you are contemplating on adding someone as an authorized user, it's not a bad idea, because it's absolutely not going to hurt you. Okay. So if you have any questions on that, send them my way. How do I raise my credit score quickly? Oh, I bet that's a question that everybody has, right? If you got that question, how do I raise my credit score quickly? Give me a like or a love. Do you want to know how to raise your credit score quickly? Everybody wants to know how to raise. So just so you know, there's so many different ways, because your credit is like a jumbo of things, right? So there's so many different things that are affecting your credit score. It could be, you could have length of credit. You could have not enough credit, not enough length of credit. You could have not enough use of credit. You could have bad credit. You could have collections. You could have installment debt. There's so many things. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. So what we have to do is we have to look at your credit profile, right? And so one of the things that I do in my training program is I say, okay, here's how to look at your credit profile. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to look for. And based upon this, these are the things that you need to do. But just overall, in general, low utilization on your credit cards. So your credit limit is $1,000. Keep your utilization at $300, no more than $500. Paying off old collections is not always good. Paying off old collections could actually drop your score, especially collections that have not reported in over 2 years. Paying your debt on time, that's 35% of the credit score. Tara, I'm going to answer that question. So thank you for, she said, how do business loans affect your credit score? So I'll answer that as well. So there's so many things that affect your credit score that it's just really hard to say that there's, surefire way. I will post the link. I do have a link that says, here's 7 ways to increase your credit score quickly, and I'll send that over. I'll put this on the link on both my business page and my personal page. But just because there's so many different variables that go into your credit score, the algorithms are different. The age, it's kind of complex. But there, again, the utilization is going to be a big thing. Credit cards are the holy grail of your credit. So if the credit pie is this, 35% is your payment history. So you paying on time, you paying your credit cards or your bills on time. That's going to affect your score 35%. You having a high utilization on your credit cards, that's going to be 30%. So how to do it quick? Pay your credit cards down. If you don't have credit cards, get credit cards. Okay, so those are ways that you can get your scores up very, 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 very quickly. All right, how long after I pay off my debt will it take for my credit to improve? And that's a good question too, because I don't know what kind of debt you're talking about. So if I give you a blanket statement, it may not really affect you, right? So do you have collections? Do you have just credit card debt? Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a car loan? Do you have charge-offs? So it really depends. It only depends on the type of credit, but it depends on what else is on your credit report, right? So if, say, you have, I just seen a credit report that had everything was in collections. So they had no good current credit, but they had everything was in the derogatory status. Even the car note was in derogatory status, right? So, but they hadn't been they hadn't been late in a year, and so their credit score was about 500, which to me, looking at it, for me, it should look like it should have been in the 400s based upon the credit profile because there was nothing good. The reason why it was actually in the 500s, which was high for that credit profile, because they were on time for the last year on that car note, but everything else was bad. Everything else was in collections. Everything else was negative. So that 500. So that 500. Somebody just texted me. So that, sorry. So that 500 credit score, it was that improved their credit score because they had been good over the last year. Had they added a credit card to that, that would have definitely helped. They probably would have been somewhere in maybe the mid 500, maybe even the high 500. So the thing about it is, you know, we got to figure out what is on your credit report before we can really determine how quickly it can raise your credit score. That's always hard. So I have to look at your credit report. Again, my training program, it shows you how to look at your credit report, and then it'll tell you kind of what you need to do in order to improve your score quickly. Can you give me a bit of info on Bitcoin? So does anybody know about Bitcoin? So Bitcoin is an electronic currency. And I've seen it a lot. In fact, I had a guy maybe last year who was one of the investors in Bitcoin, and he wanted to invest in some property in Stockton, in downtown Stockton. And he was an early investor, and he had a bunch of money because he had cashed out. And he just wanted to put his money in a vehicle that had a high capitalization rate. And if you didn't know, Stockton has some really good deals on commercial property, like downtown Stockton. Like if you're interested in getting into investing, and I'm going to talk about that afterwards, or getting into commercial investing, it's a gold mine. It's like 1816, what is that? 1849. What was the gold rush? I swear, Stockton, California is like the gold rush. So if you were interested in, you know, getting into investing, but anyway, going back to Bitcoin, it's an electronic currency, and it's like $4,900, I believe, is per share. $4,900 per share. Bitcoin is $4,900 per share. So if you're interested in getting into Bitcoin, you're going to have to pay $4,900 for one share of stock. What I do is, like I will tell, if you haven't, if you hadn't been on my previous lives, I talked about my son investing. He invests in stock shares. I invest, or I do what's called day trading. Okay, so I invest in something. We purchase options on stock, and we can, depending on the direction of the stock is going, if we guess right, if we say that the stock is going to increase, then we make money. If we say it's going to increase and it ends up decreasing, then we lose money. If we say the stock is going to decrease and it increases, we lose money. So we're basically bidding based upon whatever the market is doing, and then we bid on the stock based upon that. And so when I wake up at 6 o'clock every morning, I'll see if I've won or if I've lost. And more than that, I've won. And so, you know, you can invest $200, you can invest $2,000, you can invest $5,000, you can invest $50,000 in day trading. But the cool thing about Bitcoin, about day trading, is because Bitcoin is so expensive to get into, you can invest in day trading in a stock like Bitcoin or even Tesla or even Google for a quarter of the amount, and then make a good amount of money. So that's what I would do. So I don't know anything about investing on, you know, per share on Bitcoin. I know it's very expensive, but if you wanted to do some day trading, me and my partners, we do day trading, and it's been really lucrative for us, and we've been making some good money. So that's that question. The next question is, I just came into an inheritance, so at this point, I'm ready to start looking and purchasing a home. But one problem, my credit is still in the process of being repaired. I have no problem with waiting on the process. I just want to make sure I do things smart, right, and kind of fast. So great. I think that's awesome. I don't know what kind of credit repair you're doing, but if you're paying someone, just kind of have an idea of what it is that they're doing. My bookkeeping score, what you need to know to make your credit score grow. There's a lot of tips and tricks and tools in there that you could pull from there to start your to understand credit repair. So if you're paying a third party to do your credit repair, you can have an idea if you read that book. It's $7.99 on Amazon. Very small investment into your future. There's a lot of things that you could do on your own. If you are doing some self credit repair, I would definitely recommend joining mywealthroadmap.com. That is our online training program. Nice. It's 3 payments of $97, but it is a wealth of information. There's like 9 modules or 10 modules. There's like 20 something lessons, but each lesson is designed to really help you with your particular credit need. So we've been working on it for months, and I would definitely recommend that if you are not in some type of credit repair. A lot of this credit repair you could do yourself. The other thing with credit repair is there's some laws that have been put in place even as recently. One of the major credit repair companies was just sued because of what they're over promising. They're telling you that they're making guarantees that they're not able to meet. They're charging upfront fees. So if you've paid an upfront fee for credit repair, that's illegal. They're not allowed to charge you an upfront fee. So be very mindful and very careful if you are paying for credit repair that is being done within the letter of the law. There's nothing wrong with credit repair, but there's a lot of stuff that you can do yourself. A lot of times these credit repair companies, all they're doing is sending out dispute letters. If you want a dispute letter, pick up my book. I got a bunch of dispute letters in there, $7.99, right? But if you want a comprehensive training around credit, do my Wealth Roadmap training, Build Credit to Build Wealth, and that's on mywealthroadmap.com. Okay. Should I do a debt consolidation for my student loans and a car loan that was repossessed? They're majorly affecting my credit score. I deferred the payment, so it's showing current on my credit, but interest is rising every day, so that part continues to show on the credit. The payments are $200 a month, so I'm thinking maybe if I start making some type of payment and just pay it off slowly, or just get a business loan through Cabbage or somewhere to get off the credit score faster. So what I say to that, so Cabbage loans, and I don't know if you looked into Cabbage, because I've looked into Cabbage before, and the interest rates are relatively high. So be careful on the Cabbage loans, because those interest rates are very absorbent, and so you're going to end up paying more interest on a Cabbage loan than you are on your student loan. What I say to that about the student loan piece is get on a reduced payment plan. I don't know if you know that Obama came out with a payment plan a couple of years ago. There are several payment plans on our website and in my training also, but on our website, catalystrealestate.com/student loan info. I have outlined all of the different student loan payment programs out there. So if you go there, I would recommend getting on that, because that's going to help you a lot more than, just like you said, being deferred. Your interest is increasing, not interest rate, but your interest is increasing daily, rapidly. But if you get on some type of payment plan, you're actually cutting the interest rate. So I would recommend doing that for that. Cabbage loans, the rate's probably going to be higher, and you may end up paying more. As far as your car repossession, if you want to pay that off, if you want to be prudent, and if you need it in order to qualify for a home loan, what I recommend is doing a settlement. So if, and then when you do your settlement, I always recommend having a end game in mind, having an end goal in mind, right? So if your car, say you owe $10,000 on your car, you know that you are willing to pay $5,000. Start low. Start with something stupid. Start with like $500. Start with something very, very low. and then work your way up to that end goal, right? So be kind of realistic on when you're negotiating, but start really low, because at the end of the day, if you pay the entire thing off, it's going to affect the same on your score as if you had a settlement, okay? So it's not going to help your score anymore if you paid it off in its entirety, okay? So I don't recommend paying off a $10,000 repossession if it's not gonna improve your score. Now, if it's a requirement for you to get a home loan, absolutely go ahead and do it, okay? And then if I were to change my business to an LLC so that I can establish business credit, possibly to purchase a home, is my personal credit score going to play a part? That's a good question, because a lot of people ask about business credit and how that works, okay? So business credit is great. If you have an LLC, if you have an S Corp, or any type of business, establishing good business credit is very prudent. You should have good business credit, so you'll be able to get things. The thing about business credit is they often, more than not, most of the time, 99% of the time, require a personal guarantor. That's you. So even if you have good business credit, if your personal credit is jacked up, they're still going to be looking at you to be the personal guarantor. Okay. So just because, so a lot of people, and in the past, it's worked before the market changed and there was a lot of fraud that was going on. A lot of people were, going stated, and they were using their business income and all those things in order to qualify for a loan. Now the restrictions are so great that getting a business loan, if your personal loan, or excuse me, is having business credit, if your personal credit isn't great, it's really not going to help you a whole lot. Okay. So the other thing to consider when having business credit is, do you have business income? Okay. So yeah, I want to get my business credit together. I got my personal credit together, but do you have business income? Have you been filing taxes for the last 2 years? Do you have a profit and loss statement? Do you have a Schedule C? Okay, so it's not just about the business credit, it's about the business income. Okay, so that's something to consider. Now, if you want to get a loan, like a stated income loan, or you want to get a private investment loan or private money loan where your credit is not ridiculed, you can get that. You can get one with as probably low as 10% down, 20% down. They're not really looking at your credit score. Your interest rate is going to be anywhere between 9 and 13, 14%. So if you want to get into a home right now, you want to get a hard money loan or a private loan, you absolutely can. So your credit does not need to be in a position to where you have to qualify for traditional financing. Okay. So I'm going to answer some questions now. No questions on here. I have some questions on here. How do business loans affect your credit score? So it depends. Thank you for that question. So how do business loans affect your credit score? If you have a business loan that's on your personal credit, it's going to affect your credit just like any other credit. But if you're talking about a business loan that's on your business credit, then that's your business. If your business is a separate entity, that's not going to affect you personally. Okay. So for example, like with my business, I have business credit, with utility companies. I have it with like Staples and just, different entities that, I pay monthly. Some of the things that I pay monthly. Some folks pay for like their copiers and things like that. That is through my business. That's through my business entity. I have an S Corp. So that doesn't affect me personally. Okay. But if that business credit was attached to my Social Security number, then yes, it would definitely affect my personal credit. Okay. So hopefully I answered your question. All right, some of my creditors continue to increase my credit limit without notice. What's your advice on that? So if you're talking about credit card increase, it's not a bad thing. So what that's doing is if they're increasing your credit limit on your credit cards, that's decreasing your utilization, and in turn, it should actually increase your credit score. Okay, so that's not a bad thing. Just don't use it all up. Use it, don't abuse it. Okay. So it's not a bad thing. You can reduce it if you want to, but that's also going to reduce your utilization. There was another question on here about, I just remembered. Somebody said something about credit card. Oh, she said, how bad is it to close a credit card to avoid the annual fee if you have other cards without an annual fee and a higher age? I currently don't need the card. It will hurt initially. Oh, that's what I said. So she said she said she has a credit card with an annual fee. She doesn't want to keep it. She has other credit cards. How bad is it going to hurt her credit score? It's going to hurt her credit score when she closes it, but her credit score will recover. So we always talk about never, ever, ever, ever close a credit card. If you absolutely must close a credit card, close it. It'll drop your score. Not sure how many points because it all depends on the breadth of your credit. So if your credit is limited, it may impact you more. If you have a higher credit score, it may impact you 30, 40, 50 points more than if you have like a 680 credit score. So I would say, if you're really pressed to close that credit card, close a credit card. It's going to hurt. Your credit's going to recover. May take 6 months, may take 12 months, but it will recover. Okay. Just order Keeping Score on Amazon. Can't wait to read. Awesome. So just to let you know, Keeping Score is a very simple book. You could probably sit down and read it within an hour. Great tools, great information. It's an Amazon bestseller, but it'll definitely get you in position with your credit to begin to start building wealth. And that's what this is all about. Did I have any other questions? Sorry. If you get into those loans which are higher interest, i.e. personal loans, what is the time that you can refinance it to a lower rate? Good question. So I was talking about earlier getting into a hard money or a private money loan. Those are higher down payment, so they require 10% is a really, really, really good down payment for a private money loan, and I've seen those. But anywhere between 25, 35% is what they're requiring for a down payment. How long does it take to get out? It all depends on how quickly you can increase your credit score to be in a position to purchase or to refinance. The thing about getting into hard money loans is their fees are crazy. So you're going to pay like 3 points, sometimes 5 points, 3 to 5% of money, and these are just fees. This is not going towards your equity. This is just fees that you have to pay for these loans. So say you're putting 20% down, you put another 5%. Or let's say a good one, you're putting another 3%. So you have a $200,000 loan, right? That's $80,000 you got to put down on a 20% loan. And then say you got another 3%, which is good on a hard money loan. 3%, what is that? $6,000 that you have to pay out of pocket of fees that are going just to the lender. So that's already eating into your equity, right? Because the 20% that you put down, you're already taking 3% off of that. So that's eating into your equity. So the only way these are really good loans for people, I would say, is if you're an investor. I've had a hard money loan. I've done hard money loans on investing in doing flips. Get in, get out. As long as my overall return was good, that's all I was concerned with. I wasn't really concerned with the fees. But as I started looking at it, I was like, sometimes I'm paying $15,000 in fees. You can't get that money back. So, but if I'm making $100,000 on it, then I kind of weigh it and see, okay, this might be a good investment for me if I'm getting that type of return on investment. But if I'm not getting that return on investment, then it might not be a good thing. If I want to live in the property, then getting that hard money loan may not be a good investment for me. And so that's definitely something to consider. So I wanted to talk to you today before we end about investing in investment properties. Oh goodness. So my live went off on my phone. On my business page. Sorry. What's going on there? I'm live again over here on the business page. So I wanted to talk to you about real estate investment because, like I said, credit is so important, but also getting in position to start investing in real estate. So if we're talking about investing in real estate, there's so many different ways that you can invest in real estate. You can invest in real estate with as little as no money down. So there's down payment assistance programs available to folks with no money down. You can get into a home, be in the home 6 months, be in the home 12 months, and then you can start investing in real estate after a certain point. So once you've got, especially in California, The equity grows so much that, within 6 months, a lot of times folks are, have 30, 40, $50,000 in equity where they're able to start pulling money out and investing. And as I mentioned earlier, if you were on, Stockton, California, oh my gosh, is the gold mine, is the gold mine. It's like the gold rush out here. It's unbelievable the deals that you can get out in Stockton with investing. We just closed escrow with a young lady last week, I believe. And the cool thing is, the thing I love about Catalyst Real Estate Professionals is when we're really counseling you, we're not just trying to put you in a home, but we're really trying to create your wealth portfolio. We're really sitting down with you to do your planning, your investment planning, and your wealth plan. And so this young lady sat down with Shaniqua Badger, which is one of our agents, and she said, okay, what is it that you want to do? What's your long-term plan? She wanted to get some investment property. She had a duplex. She wanted to get some more stuff. So we said, okay, let's go ahead and hand me. I did the loan. I do lending. So we looked at her situation. She pulled some cash out from her one of her other properties, and then we put her in a duplex, 3.5% down. She pulled from one of her properties, put it in another property, right? No money out of her own pocket. She took this leverage from the first property that she had, put it in the other property, 4 units, and she's cash flowing and walked in there with equity. Insane. So now she has these 2 properties that are not only paying for themselves, right? So they're paying for themselves. She's getting equity from the property, but they're also giving her a little bit of cash flow too. So the mortgage is paid, and she gets to go to the mailbox and get that mailbox money every month. It's absolutely possible, and that's what we're talking about when we're talking about getting you in position to being able to create your wealth plan and your investment portfolio. It could start with your first home. You get your first home, 6 months, 12 months, then you get your second home. Don't look at that as just a piece of property where you're going to be in, but look at it as a long-term investment vehicle so that you can start building wealth and creating a legacy for your family. That's what it's all about. Okay, so does anybody have any questions on the investment side? My client asked about reverse mortgages. What are your thoughts? Reverse mortgages, it can be a double-edged sword. So they're good and bad, right? Investment mortgages, there's so many different factors on how much money you get from the property. It's based upon equity, it's based upon your age, and it's based upon your potential, the potential years that they determine how many years you got left. So it could be a good thing. Like I've had some clients out in San Francisco have a crazy amount of equity, got in a reverse mortgage, and they're okay with that. And then when they passed away, they still had enough equity to where the property their heirs were able to recover the property and still able to sell the property and get the equity. But there's so many instances where the heirs aren't and the houses are upside down. So I've seen people they've had grandmama's house, they were raised in grandmama's house, grandmama ended up getting a reverse mortgage. They really wanted to keep grandmama's house because it was it's like a family heirloom. But at the end of the reverse mortgage, there was no equity in the property. And the family was not able to recover grandmama's house, and it ended up going into foreclosure. So it depends on, you have to have a good exit strategy when you're talking about reverse mortgages. They can be good because you've worked all your life. You're a senior, you've worked all your life, you paid into this property, let that property pay you back. But make sure that your heirs know that, hey, after this property is after I'm dead and gone, what's going to happen to this property? Is it going to be in foreclosure? Is it going to be sold? Is it going to go to my heirs? So make sure that they have a good wealth plan when they're doing the reverse mortgages. Okay, so they're not bad. I've heard really good stories about reverse mortgages. I've heard really horror stories about reverse mortgages. So it could be on 2 sides of the coin. I would just make sure that they're properly educated about it and they know what's going to happen to the property after they are deceased. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on investing though? Because I really wanted to talk to you today about investing. I wanted to also mention about flipping property. So right now in this market, so I flip properties. I haven't done it I've done a couple this year, but I haven't done anything in the last few months. But it's still a good market to even flip property. You just have to be able to find the deals. How do you find the deals? You can work with a realtor. You can go onto Property Radar, or formerly Foreclosure Radar. You can see the properties that are in default. You can go to the county court steps if you have cash, but you can get these. You can still get properties at really, really, really good deals, and you could turn around and, you know, if you have a financer, or if you have a private money lender, they're not bad idea, especially if the return on your investment is going to be great. So I would say definitely look into that. If you have any questions on investing, on flipping, on getting into some multi-units, because that's the place to be. Also in Stockton, again, I'm in Stockton. Stockton, there's downtown, there's some great commercial opportunities I'm actually looking into. So I would definitely encourage you, if you're interested in doing some commercial investing, that's going to be the next wave. And folks are sleeping on it, but it's going to be, your folks who are doing it are going to be able to make a good amount of money on the commercial properties. Okay. All right. So, sheesh, that's all the questions I had. We had a good Q&A today. But if you have any questions, I got quite a few questions in my inbox. Send them in my inbox. You can post them on here. If I wasn't clear, or if I didn't answer any of your questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer any of your credit and your investment questions. All right. So guys, thank you for joining me today. Share with your network, share with your friends and family. And I'm out. God bless. Peace.